D-I-E. Do I look better? Do I look sexier when I have this on versus? Oh, look, focus right here. Focus right here. Watch. 3, 2, 1. Ooh. Anyway, I'm gonna have the ugly version on, man. Fuck it, bro. That's the real me. So, let's talk about. I'm gonna take this shit off the tripod. Hopefully, you can see my face a little bit better. My beautiful, ugly, whatever you want to call it, face. Let's get started, man. Day 12. Control your emotions, or they will control you. That's a very good title. Came up with it myself, but let me give you some examples of exactly what I mean. I mean, a lot of it is already said right there in their title. So I was in Paris not too long ago. It was very up and down, as is life. But that Paris trip, there's a time when my parents, both of them, I was there with my family. Both of them ended up getting sick, throwing up, a whole bunch of shit. Basically super weak, throwing up constant, like literally the entire day. Not very fun to be them. That being said, they were so emotional during that time compared to me. I was very cold, very about, okay, I'm honestly sorry that happened, but what can we do about it? How can I help? What are the things that we need to do? Go to the pharmacy, get XYZ, go get chicken noodle soup or whatever the fuck we can. It's in French. I ended up getting like legume soup or whatever the fuck. But I was very effective in that moment because my emotions were not controlling me. On the flip side, parents, very emotional, complaining, blaming, this is all your fault, or we should have brought this, or why didn't we think of blah, blah, blah. All focused on the problem. I was more so focused on the solution. Who would you rather have on your team in a situation where things aren't going well? You'd rather have that person who's a little bit more cold, a little bit more just about, okay, what do we do about it? Anyway, so some negative things happen. Some positive things happen. Obviously, we're in Paris. We got to see the Eiffel Tower. Now, obviously, I'm already kind of describing how I was reacting during that downtime. But at the same time, in these up times, I was very much cold as well. Very much even keel. And so I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm leading us to our tour guide as we're looking at the Eiffel Tower. My mom is literally breaking down in tears, crying. Dream come true. She had this vision or this dream of being out there in Paris with her family since a young girl. And so it was a really big moment for her. In that moment, who would you rather be? Well, shoot, I'd actually rather be my mom in that situation. Not that I didn't handle things well or anything, but I'd rather be my mom. Things are up. So I think that when things are going well, you do actually want to be emotional. When things aren't going well, however, you definitely want to be that emotionless person, very logical, very step by step. What do we do next? How do we get out of this? As I've just gone through life, experienced different things, I've found that it's best to be balanced between being emotional and emotionless. And life will inevitably happen. Things will be tough at a certain point. So if you are always emotional and enjoying not gonna lie, my mom was enjoying that trip more than me, but also took hits way harder than me and it was at much lower points during that trip. As a result, she was more so being controlled by her emotions or by whatever the situation is. I was much more in control of my emotions. Not to say one way is right or wrong, but when life does inevitably happen, when negatives do inevitably come, I want to be that person who people can rely on, who people are looking for, and who can get us out of that situation quickly and effectively. And in order to do that, I need to be practicing being in control of my emotions. It doesn't mean be completely emotionless, be a fucking robot, be cold. Because honestly, as you lean even more into that, you actually become less effective, in my opinion, as well. I'll give you a perfect example. Sales. Sales teaches you so fucking much about life. It is actually crazy. But in sales, if you're emotionless, you're a robot. You sound like you're pitching with a script. And nobody wants to sign up or do anything with you or buy from you because they don't feel a genuine connection. On the flip side, if you are this crazy high emotional salesperson and your emotions are in a sense controlling you, that's not too good either, because you are gonna have great energy at times. Don't get me wrong. When you just get a sale, it's gonna be like sale after sale after sale after sale. You're gonna be just on one. But if you're not getting things going your way early on in the day, you're gonna take those hits harder. You're gonna take those rejections personally. And you're gonna be so low that you are done for basically the whole day if you don't get off to a hot start. So you don't wanna be emotional either. You need to be a balance between both, being emotional and emotionless. And so that takes me full circle back to the title of the video. You have to be the one in control. It doesn't mean be emotionless, but it means be the one in control while you are having the emotions. Use them and be using them effectively. And sometimes it means cut out your emotions and focus on exactly what you need to do to fix the situation if there's a problem. So I want to talk about exactly how you can go through life becoming more and more in control of your emotions and less being controlled by them. So let's talk. What we call this in sales and my team is being the thermostat versus the thermometer. The thermometer is going to read the temperature, and it is just what it is. Whatever the temperature of the room is, that's going to, if it's super hot, well, the thermometer, think of like, I don't know who I'm speaking to, which generation, but I remember actually having thermometers where there's like this red liquid inside, and it goes up as things are hot and then goes back down as things are cold. Well, that's what I'm thinking of when I think of, as temperatures go up, you see that little red meter, creeping up and going up, and the thermometer has nothing it can do. It cannot control that. And as things get colder, it has to go down. It cannot control that. I'd rather be the thermostat, the one setting the temperature. So maybe it's 50 degrees in the house for whatever reason. I set the temperature. I say, no, it's going to be 70 in a matter of time. And sure enough, I'm heating up the house, the entire house or the entire building that I am in. And eventually everybody else around me is feeling what I'm feeling. So I want to be in control. It doesn't mean be emotionless. It means be in control of the emotion. And eventually, life is a transfer of energy. Sales is a transfer of energy. Other people are going to pick up on that shit. So how can you do this? Number one is expectations or story. So the story, or the fact of the matter, let's go to the Paris example that I was talking about earlier. The fact of the matter is, okay, 2 people are sick on our trip. There's me, there's my younger sister. What can we do about it? That's essentially like what actually happened. Now, I can say, as far as the expectations of the story, well, this is not going according to expectation. We had so many things planned today. What the fuck? This is such a terrible trip. Why the fuck would this happen to us? Now you see I'm starting to lean into a negative story, right? But on the flip side, I can control those expectations. I can control that story. I can't control what the situation I'm in is, but I can control the expectations. I can control the story. The expectations could be, well, you know what? I'm actually way more tired than I thought I was going to be out here. This might be a blessing in disguise. Now we get to sleep in, take care of my parents, of course, but also sleep in and kind of reset as we go on to the next chapter of this vacation. Notice how I can choose that story. And something I go over with my team all of the time is, if you can choose the story, might as well choose a story that serves you. So my challenge for you is not necessarily just go about choosing stories, but force yourself to come up with 3 different ways that you can use whatever situation you're in throughout the day. If you can come up with 3 different perspectives about that specific situation, you can start to understand that there are different ways of looking at things. And there are different stories you can choose to give life. We talked earlier yesterday, I believe day 11, about keeping your goals alive and focusing that energy on that goal. Well, if you focus the right energy on the story or on the meaning that you're creating for the day, in this specific example, when it comes to controlling your emotions, if you choose a specific story, I chose to say, well, you know what, this could be a blessing in disguise. But my parents, they chose to say, well, this fucking sucks. This fucking blows. We spent all this fucking money on this trip to go out here into this foreign fucking country. Now we don't even know what the fuck medicine to get because it's all in fucking French and all this bullshit, right? Well, guess how they felt compared to how I felt. I felt a lot better in that moment. Not necessarily to say that you should feel better, but I was in control of my emotions. They weren't. It's your I'm just throwing this out there. You can pick who you would rather be in that situation. But I guarantee you, you're going to be more effective at a bare minimum if you're the one choosing which story you believe in. I understood that shit felt like that shit sucked. It was terrible. It wasn't the greatest situation to be in. Boo-hoo. It was more so to me, it was like, how do I take care of my family? I love them. I need to take care of them. That's another perspective. Anyway, that's the challenge. That's the takeaway. You can control the expectations. You can control the story that you give life to. Pick one and create a list of different stories. Give yourself some options there so that as you go through life, you can see things through different perspectives and choose the one that serves you best, because you get to choose it at the end of the day anyway. So that's number one, expectations or story. Number two is the tonality. One thing I've noticed in sales is that if I am ever, and this is tonality as well as body language, this is how we communicate to other people. Obviously, a lot of people, at least in the space who are watching this video, are going to be of the understanding that there was some study done on communication, and it found that only 7% of communication is verbal. Only 7% of communication is the words. There's 93% of communication, like 45% of that is body language and 37% is tonality. Well, instead of focusing on the words, focus on the tonality, on the body language, and being at a full range of using the highest tonalities, being able to fuck around with your voice, speed it up and slow it the fuck down, bring it to a whisper. If you can have this wide range of vocal tonalities as well as body language, I can just do whatever the fuck I'm doing with my hands right now. I don't know, but if I can just do whatever and I can fuck around, the wider the range, the more in control I've found myself to be when it comes to my emotional state. It is very important for when you want to become more in control of your emotions. You're finding yourself starting to lose control. Get back into your body, get back into your voice, and notice that you are starting to restrict yourself once you're starting to feel a certain emotion. There's going to be I don't want to get into another point, but you're going to start restricting your tonality. You're either going to start leaning very negative, very angry, or very timid, very shy, very soft, if you are noticing yourself losing control of that emotion or starting to be controlled by your emotions. And so if you want to stay in control, making sure you're always able to expand your body, bring it together, do whatever the fuck you want with your body and also with your voice, I promise you that's gonna be a very good gauge as to who is really in control right here. Is it me or is it my emotions? Pay attention to that shit. Number 3 is the dialogue or the self-talk. So we talked about my parents in that situation in Paris. We talked about my kind of viewpoint on things. Now, this is something that I use in sales as well, but the solution-oriented person versus the problem-oriented person. The self-talk in my head was very much about the solution. What do we do about the situation we're in? My parents, on the other hand, were very much in tune with the problem, with blaming, with why is this happening? Why does this always happen to us? Or whatever, right? They're focused on the problem. Same thing in sales. People who are starting to struggle in sales, the ones who are successful are focused on the solution. Okay, how do I get my shit back together? How do I make sure the day ends in a positive note? How do I make sure I get 5 sales today? Whatever. The negative salesperson, the person who's going to fail, is the person who's focused on the problem. Why aren't people stopping for me? Why doesn't anybody want to talk? Why did that person walk off? It's very subtle, but the shift is, where is that focus? Are you focused on a solution or are you focused on a problem? The key question to ask, you need to step outside of yourself. Meditation helps with this a ton, where you step outside of yourself and you just see, you hear, you watch the self-talk, the dialogue that's going on in your head. And you see, is that leading toward a solution? The simple question to ask yourself is, if I answer my question that I'm asking myself, it sounds weird, but you have to ask yourself a question about the questions that are already in your head. If you're asking yourself a question about how do I fix this, that's the right thing. You're on the right track. You're focused on a solution. If you're asking yourself, what is going wrong? Why is this happening? You have to catch yourself because you're focusing on a problem. It's very subtle, But once you understand the difference, oh my goodness, you gain so much control over your trajectory in life, because it's not just a focus in a moment to moment, and just like a moment basis, like one little thing here. It's at a moment to moment basis throughout your entire life. If you are focused on a solution, you will find more solutions to everything in life, to whatever problem you're in every situation, versus starting to become a victim in all of life's different situations if you're focusing on a problem. So where your focus is going to be very crucial. If you're focused on a solution or focused on a problem. In addition to that, if things are going well, what I also wrote down is maybe there's not a solution. Maybe the solution is everything's already going well. Well, then the solution is not necessarily a solution, but it's focusing on addition, adding to the room, adding value rather than taking away. That's also another way of looking at it. Same general concept though. Adding value, adding a solution, fixing a problem, being of value versus sucking it out, being a fucking energy vampire. Nobody wants to be that, but a lot of people fall into that trap because they're controlled by their emotions. Don't be controlled, be the controller. Anyway, that is number 3, the dialogue or the self-talk that you have with yourself. Number 4 and final, at least as far as what I want to talk about today, is tension. So starting to get into it with body language and tonality and things like that. But you will notice, and again, we want to be in control of our emotions. It does not mean be emotionless all of the time. So sometimes you do want to have emotions. Sometimes you do want to be emotional. You can use those to your advantage. So with tension, the more tension you have in your jaw, in your body, in your fist, the more energy or emotion you're going to feel. The less tension, if you want to be emotionless and you need to fix the problem, if you're in the middle of a crisis, something is happening, and you need to fix it immediately, you have to cut out all tension. You have to let it all the fuck go. And then you can think clearly about what solution or what to do to fix whatever problem you find yourself in. But that tension control is also going to lead you to more control in your body. So if you want to feel more emotions, actually feel more tension, right? If maybe you're watching a movie, maybe you're feeling that character. If you want to, like, fucking go for it, man. Feel that emotion. You need to increase the tension. If you want to decrease any sort of emotions, cut that shit out, decrease the tension. Key focus is in your jaw. If you have tension in your jaw, you're going to feel an emotion. But I learned this from yoga. If you have no tension in your jaw, it is actually impossible to feel an emotion. It's impossible. So focus on that shit. Anyway, those are the different ways that you can control your emotions. And when you are in control of your emotions, in a big way, you're in control of your life. Not in every sense, but in a big way. So I'll leave you with that. That's all I want to say. It's getting late. It's already late when I started this video. Now 18 minutes later. Holy shit. Now I can create a negative story. I can complain, or I could just say, you know what? Let's get to sleep. So I'm going to do that.